line. The focus is what are we going to do for this next period of time that are going to make a difference for us. So write these words down, okay? Words that matter the most, in my opinion, as we run through the finish line. So write down the word attitude. Write down the word attitude. Then write down next to it or below it the word persistence. The word persistence. Then the next one is stay the course. Stay the course. The next word is discipline. Write down the word discipline. The next one is one of my favorite 5-letter words. Starts with an S, an F, excuse me. Focus. And the last one I wrote down here was today matters. Today matters. This week helps focus us and all those other words on running through the finish line. We're set up for an action workshop this week. Remember, our action workshop time is from 1 to 4. They're totally focused on helping us and our team and Century 21 Masters. So make sure that you set yourself up, set your time up, do your prospecting in the morning, and then go in the afternoon. But I wrote down here, we have 14 work weeks until the 1st of January. Write this down, these 4 numbers down, 2016. 2016, ladies and gentlemen. 2016. So we have 14 weeks until 2016 is upon us. So write this other number down. There are 98 calendar days. 14 weeks and 98 calendar days. In the 98 calendar days, write down 67 of those are what I consider work days. 67. Now, so you have Saturday and Sundays I'm writing down as off, okay? And Christmas Day, write that down as off. The Thanksgiving Day is off. Now, if you want to run through the finish line, you're not taking off that Friday, okay? And January 1st as off, okay? So in that period of time, you're going to have 67 work days. So what you want to do during that period is you want to work to set yourself apart. Now, just because you're working already starts to set yourself apart a bit. Because most of your competitors right now, as they approach October 1st, are going to start winding down. We're using it as a winding up period of time. Now, this is the 4th year that we've focused in on making the end of the year work for us as an organization. And every year we get better and better and better at getting more and more results out of the last 67 work days. Okay? So that's what the focus is going to be. So write this down. To set yourself apart, I wrote down number 1, you need to work a great 8 every work day. A great 8 every work day. Number 2, you need to go see every expired in the market you're working. Go see every single expired in the market that you're working. 5 a day at the door. I wrote down here, go preview 5 houses every work day. Now, I want to stop here for a second because for the last 2 years, we've been working on moving our price point up as an organization, individually and as a group. And you've been doing a great job with it. And I talk to agents all the time that are moving their price point up. It doesn't mean you go from $500,000 to $1.5 million tomorrow. What it means is you go from $500,000 to $700,000. You go from $700,000 if that's your price point to $800,000. every $100,000 on average that you move your price point up means that you're probably going to earn about $2,500 to $3,000 per closed transactions. Okay? Think about that. $100,000. So you went from $500,000 to $600,000. That's all we're talking about. That means that each one of your closed transactions could be worth as much as $3,000 more per closing. Get it? Are you guys with me on this? Yeah. And if you did 30 closings at $3,000 more, that would drop $90,000 to your bottom line without any more effort, energy, etc. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you don't have to go from $500,000 to $1 million to affect a difference. You can go from $500,000 to $600,000 to see a meaningful amount of money. Look, how do I know $90,000 is meaningful? Here's the question. If you had $90,000 in your pocket today, would it change your life? If it wouldn't, then okay. But it's a meaningful amount of money for most of us. If we had $90,000 more in our checking account right now, because of the work and effort that we did over the last 12 months by this just slight modification, that could really change some things going on with us. Then I wrote down the next point is door knock 10 doors around every expired and every preview you go to. Now, I'm not giving you anything that's dramatically different so far yet, have I? We've heard this before. You've heard this before from me, right? Okay, here's the difference. The difference is for the next 67 work days, you're actually going to do it. That's going to make the dramatic difference. Okay? That's going to make the dramatic difference. So, then I wrote down here, make sure your past client and sphere of influence system is set up and working. Brought in a couple of agents about a month and a half ago that joined the company in large part because of some things that they thought that we could do to help them move from point A to point B. And one of the first things I had them do, you'll never guess what it was actually go through their past client and sphere list and call and talk to, not just call, but actually talk to all the people in the list and sort the list out, figure out where they were. It took them about a month and a half to do this over that period of time. In that month and a half, they started at about 500 was in their list, and they whittled it down, and we watched it every week. They were whittling it, working it, talking to people, setting appointments, and a lot of those people were bought homes or, well, let's say the phone numbers were disconnected. We don't know if they bought a home, okay, but they weren't there anymore, all right? Anyway, they went, and it went down to about 327 was from 500 to 327. They whittled it through in about a month and a half. 7 transactions came from that list. 7 transactions, listings and buyer sides, combinations of stuff, a couple of double enders, a couple of other transactions, a couple of listings. You know, I mean, not any one particular item, except that it all came from where? Past client and sphere of influence. Because they focused in on that. That was one of their first assignments. That can happen to you too. Just focus in on it. That's why I wrote down here. Make sure your past client and sphere of influence system is set up and working. And then the 6th item was learn how to handle the objections you most have and here coming up. That are right now. That are getting right now. Okay? I wrote down here, extraordinary people are ordinary people with that little extra added out front. That's what we need to continue to work on here. So, let's review the numbers. So write this down. We have 14 work weeks left. We have 67 work days, including those 3 days that I talked about taking off. Now, if you work a grade 8 per work day, that means that you're going to work 528 hours. So write that down. You're going to work 528 hours in 67 work days. I wrote down here, if you go see 5 previews per week, that means you'll have previewed 335 properties. Now let me ask you something. If in fact you actually did go see 335 properties between now and the end of the year, do you think that you would know the market better?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you think during the previews you might meet some people that might want to buy and sell some houses? Is that possible?
Yes.
You could probably add a deal or two right from there. Then I wrote down here, 5 days a week you're going to go see 5 expireds at the door. Just going to go see 5 expireds at the door. At some point, are you ever going to get tired of me saying this and then you kind of do it? You know, I'm standing here and I'm doing this, and this is like the 4th year or 5th year I've rolled this thing out. And at some point, why don't we just do this time? What do you think? I mean, why don't we just take the next 67 days? Look, we have to be, is everyone plan on living for the next 98 days?
Yes.
No, come on. Yes or no? Yes, right? Okay, and in those 98 days, if you take 98 and you subtract 67 from that, how much is that? 31. I'll help you. Okay? I'll help you. It's 31. Okay? I'm going to give you, in the next 98 days, 31 official days off. Okay? They're yours from me to you. Take them off, go to the family, enjoy yourself. So you get, really, out of the next 98 days, a third of the time off. Third of the time off. You go to the family and say, look, I'm going to be off a third of the next 98 days. But the 2/3, I need to be focused. I need to be committed. But I only wrote down here, only for 8 hours, a grade 8. See, what we do is we put in 10, 12, 14 hours sometimes, right? But they're really not a great 14, are they?
Yes.
They're more like a great 4 or an awesome 3. Grade 8. A grade 8. So, if you go door knock 335 expireds at the door over the next 67 work days, and 30% of the people are home, because that's our numbers. 28 to 32% of all the people are generally home in most neighborhoods most of the time, whether you go in the morning or you go in the afternoon or you go in the evening. That's typically the numbers you'll find over time. 30%. So that means you're going to actually talk to 101 expireds. You'll talk to 101 expireds. Now, if you talk to 101 expireds, could you set some appointments? More than one. 101 expires. Now, I didn't say take the listing. How many appointments could you set? I heard 30. Could we hit more? Could we hit less? What do you feel? 15? 20? I wrote down here to be conservative. To be conservative, I wrote down that we could set 30 appointments. I believe you could set 2 appointments a week. Set. I also believe that you're probably going to end up going on one. Really, one official good appointment for the next 14 weeks. Okay? And in that 14 weeks, if you go on one appointment, you should be able to get, with any modicum of skills, half of those properties listed, right? Yes. Fair enough?
Yes.
So that's going to be 7 properties listed. And in today's marketplace, could you sell 5 of them? I mean, think about it. You went to see 335. You met 101. You set 30 appointments in that period of time, but you're only going to come back with 5 closings. Not an unreasonable number, is it? In our numbers, that's almost $60,000 in the San Gabriel Valley, and almost about $80,000 or $90,000 in Orange County in commission income. Now, remember what I asked you. If you had $90,000 more in your pocket right now, how would that change your life? That was my question. I'm saying to you that each of you should be able to expect between now and the end of the year that at least that $90,000 more dollars. Do you get it? At least that. And that doesn't even count the past client and sphere of influence or the just listed or just sold. That's just in the one category of expireds. Okay, so let me keep talking here. So if you went to go see 335 expireds over the next 67 days, and then you also went and saw 335 preview properties, okay? And then you door knocked 10 around each one, that means 335 twice is how much? 670, okay? And if you door knocked 10 around each one, that would be 6,700. So you knocked on 6,700 doors. So let me ask you a question. Write this down. What else do I have to do? In the next 98 days, what else you got to do? I'm giving you 31 days off. It's right there. I'll put it in the book. I'll sign it. You can have 31 days off. How's that? Fair? Nice? Fair. You can take that home to the family. You guys can divvy it up any way you want. Each of you can have 31 days off. All you have to do is do the other stuff that we're talking about. But if you do the other stuff that we're talking about, it could be worth $90,000 to you. $90,000 would pay off a lot of stuff you bought for the holidays that you bought for your family, for your kids, etc. I bet you could probably buy yourself a car and a couple of, inner tubes for snorkeling and, what do they call the iPhones, etc. You could have one heck of a party. Pretty cool, huh? So I wrote down, and we'd had 6,700 doors. 30% of the people are going to be home. 30% of the people are going to be home. So that means you're going to talk to 2,010 people over the next 98 days or 67 work days. Okay, get in your head. If you talk to 2,000 people over that period of time, do you think any of those people might want to list or sell a house? Yes. Hello? Yes. This is what running through the finish line looks like. And I have nothing on here. All I'm asking you to do is put a grade 8 in, for 67 days and still have 31 days off. I figured this out for you, didn't I? It's hard to say no to me right now, isn't it? So how about this? There's 24 hours in a workday, and you have 98 workdays. You with me? So that means between now and the end of the year, write this down, there's 2,352 hours, 52 hours, 2352. 2352. I said to you, all we need is 8 hours per work day dedicated to the 67 work days. If you did that, we agreed that you would have a pretty darn good holiday, right? Hello, right? Yes. Okay. Did you know that that the 536 hours, that represents 8 hours per work day for 67 days, it only represents 22% of your life for the next 98 days? Wow. 20, not even 25% of your life. I'm talking about 24 hours a day for 98 days. Do you guys get me? And all I'm asking you to dedicate of that, am I kind of an analytical today, huh? All I'm asking you to dedicate there is 8 hours per work day consistently for those 67 days. And that only amounts to 22% of your entire life for the 98 days. Wow! Isn't that wild? Who's in? Oh, I got 8. Oh, great. I got to keep talking here. All right. All right. So, It's 98 days. After that, you don't have to do it, I promise. Okay? You may want, some of you might want to continue because like you're making like a lot of money, but you don't have to. Okay? So I wrote down here must-dos. Must-dos. You must work daily on your time management. You must work daily on your time management to accomplish this. You must work daily on your time management. I wrote down here, what choice of activities will I do during this period of time? No appointments, no sales. No appointments, no sales. We have to focus on getting the appointments. I wrote down here 90% of that time needs to be focused on looking for sellers. You're going to find some buyers. I get it. You're going to do some buyer deals. I understand that. Yet 90% of your time for the next 98 work days, or 98 days, needs to be focused on sellers. I wrote down here number 2. You need to look for buyers and sellers every work day. Must do. Need to look for buyers and sellers every work day. That's a must do. The next must do is pre-qualify every buyer and every seller. When I say pre-qualify, I mean ask every single question. You guys with me? Okay? But I want you to ask the questions not only to understand whether they're financially able to buy, but whether or not they're emotionally able to buy. Very important. Not just financially able to buy, are they emotionally able to buy? Are they going to commit? If they don't sell this house, what are they going to do? Ask the question and listen. Because they will tell you the truth. Well, I'll rent it. Great. Have you ever rented a house before? Yes, I have. How was that experience? Terrible. Do you want to do that again? Yes or no? That'll tell you the answer. You get it? Yes. But we have to ask those questions. That has to be natural coming out of your mouth. The next one is you need to, number 4 on must-dos. You must work on making a strong listing presentation. To do that, you must practice, and then what? Practice. You must work on making a strong listing presentation. And I wrote down here on that is somewhere, someplace, someone is practicing, and when you meet them, they will beat you. Are you okay with that? Hello?
No.
Okay. They will beat you. Unless you're practicing, they will beat you. So get into the practice and get ahead of them. Now, what's interesting is it doesn't take a ton of practice, a ton of time. It takes practice consistently over time. Get it? It's about over time. And then when you do get out of practice, as we all will, we're all going to take a few days off, we're all going to lose our practice partners, those are going to happen. When you get out of it, when you jump back in, it takes a moment or two, an hour or two, to get back into the practice. We prove that in our advanced script classes. We start our advanced script class on a new script. It's very difficult for the first 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. After 30 minutes of doing the role play on a new script, you guys are doing it kind of like pros, and then by the end of the hour, you know what you're doing, what to say, and how to say it. It's a whole different thing. You do that in less than an hour. Yet we think it's going to take so much time and effort and energy, and it doesn't. So don't get lost with that. I wrote down here, the next thought is having the ability to start over every single day. Every day start at 0. Mike's been talking to us about that for so long. What happens is we get complacent. We get a listing. We get a sale. We get 2 listings. We get 2 sales. We get what I call the deep breath. Okay? We get a couple of escrows going, just enough to pay the bills and a little bit more, and then we hear this. True. It happens to all of us. It happens to me. We get that proverbial, you take that deep breath, because now, that animal that's chasing you, that thing is that you're all worried about, because you got to make your payments and make your car payment and make your house payment and all the different things that are driving you nuts, or the tuition for the kids, whatever it is chasing you. And then when you get just enough money, just a little bit, the breath of death. Because you start to get complacent. And you back off a little bit. Instead of doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, which is what got you here, you back off slightly because you get this thing in your head that says, I deserve it. I worked my tush off, I did what I was supposed to do, and now I can back off the pedal a little bit. It's the breath of death. Don't do this. All right? I wrote down here, today matters. What will you do today that will make all the difference in the world for how your tomorrow looks? Your tomorrow, your window, is the 98 days that are in front of us. In that 98 days, there are 67 work days. In that 98 days, there are 31 days that you can take off, that you can be with your family, that you can do what you want to do. Yet you have to do what you're supposed to do with the 67. We laid out what you need to do. It's not hard. It's not brain surgery. Every single one of you can do it, and do it at a really high level. But when I say today matters, before the end of today, you need to take action on something that's going to move you forward to those great 67 days. Now let's go out and take today and focus on making this an amazing week toward running through the finish line. Thank you.